Public meeting.
Donahue?
Here.
McKnight?
Here.
Roa?
Here.
Vogel?
Here.
Stearns?
Here. Pledge of allegiance, if you're able to stand, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. you have a cell phone, iPhone, iPad, or any other device, if you would take and mute it, we'd appreciate that. Katie, notice of public hearing?
The public hearing and meeting were advertised in the Meadville Tribune on November 1st and November 4th of 2021.
Thank you. Do we have anybody signed up for?
There is, Your Honor.
Peter, if you wouldn't mind standing up, giving your full name and address, we appreciate that. Thank you.
My name is Peter Grella. I live at 374 Pine Street. And before I go any further, I have to say that anything I say are my opinions only, and not that no reflection of my employer or of anybody else in my office after that. Just me, just a guy who lives on Pine Street. Okay. All right. Also, please excuse the awkwardness. I would have liked to prepare myself a little bit more than I had today, so I'm running off with a few sheets of paper and as good as cocktail napkin notes. On the budget, let me start with the punchline. My opinions: cut nobody, raise taxes, sit on ARPA for as long as you can, and accrue as much interest as possible on it. Cut nothing in the budget except but the $125,000 transfer to the mark that's been taken for granted year after year after year, and replace that with separate millage for recreational facilities, which is authorized under the third-class city code. Again, it's not my business to get into third-class city code or anything else, but I like perusing state law as much as I can. So, I have no solutions for you, just that opinion on what I can quickly read through the budget and the presentation this past weekend. For this, however, your considerations and possibly for future budgets, I have a few principles that are, again, my own opinion, but I hope will be really helpful. Number one, stop complaining about the taxes on properties in town. And now that that comes out of my mouth, it sounds a little bit rude. I apologize, I'm not good at this public speaking thing. So I'm just trying to be clear, direct, and simple. You appreciate that. See, the thing is, in my opinion, the taxes on properties in town are not the problem. Year after year after year, in the initial report, it said 45% of the taxable properties in town, total tax, the aggregate taxable properties, aggregate assessment value of properties in town are non-taxable or tax exempt. However, that double counts the $14 million of assessed value that the city of Meadville itself owns. No, nothing is talked about the churches, which are another 11 million of assessed value. If you take those away, you're left with the college, which is about 29 million, something like that. But if you add the churches and the religious exempt, it gets up there, and that's excluding Westbury, which is again exempt itself. The fact is, in my view, the tax exempt properties in towns are the, I didn't even talk about the school district, I should have looked that one up. The schools, the churches, the college, the medical facilities, public facilities, which together make public life in Meadville good. They add to it. They're also, between the Meadville Medical Center and the college and all the other nonprofits that are exempt, amongst the largest employers here, which provide population and relatively good paying jobs, which provide for people to actually pay money for those relatively nice houses and the income tax and the local services tax that are paid back into the city. The fact is that if you disaggregate, or at least what I think is the fact is, and cocktail napkins, bear with me, if you disaggregate the land value from the building improvements value, you'll see that the assessment value for the land of non-taxable entities is only a little bit less than 20% of the land values. I'll get back into something about that later. But just consider that the taxable, the non-tax exempt property, the tax exempt properties are not the cause of budget woes. It's that the rest of the taxable properties can't pull their weight. There are some complicated problems with that. It's put in the introduction as they shoulder the burden. But the fact is that most of those taxable properties are the individual homes and residences and businesses of people who live and work here. So it becomes a little bit weird when the responsibility for taxes is assigned to properties and not to people and not to citizens of the county. That's my principle. Start budgeting for savings. I do not recall seeing in the past budgets that I've read through, it's been a while, but I've read through them, that there's not been a line item for money specifically set aside to be put back into funds. I get my paycheck, 20% of it immediately goes into a fund for long-term savings. Past budgets have been balanced by taking from savings to pay for general operating expenses or other things. And unfortunately, I also see in the budget that that is called revenue or income. Might be a thing that you just label, but for the public and for simpletons like me, that $400,000 transfer in from debt reserve is called revenue or income on this budget. It makes up part of it. As far as I'm concerned, that's $400,000 further that the budget is out of balance. It's not new income. Money not spent is not money earned. It's an accounting trick that I don't appreciate it. I apologize if I'm getting any of this wrong. Again, just had a little bit of time, a lot of thoughts. I'd also like to propose that the budget is out of balance by a further 11.15%. That's my calculation on the grants and gifts. Grants and gifts are things that you did not earn and probably do not deserve. Many of these grants and gifts are coming from the federal government or the state government. You can't guarantee them. All it means is that the budget is adjusted to provide so that 10% year after year. I know that a couple years ago it was like 6 million rather than 10 million of grants and gifts. That's right, 600,000 rather than the 1 million of grants and gifts. But the thing is, if the kid in the basement is relying on grandma's birthday cards for his income, instead of getting out there and making himself valuable, that's, in my opinion, not good budgeting. I know it fills a gap. I know it fills a need. But for instance, when ARPA goes away, then when that 6 mil difference between there, when there's not a pandemic to ironically save the budget, what then? If our city's not paying for itself, then what then? If like, for instance, and this goes back on, raise taxes. Taxes have been raised. A couple of people in the past election, quite curiously, ran on a campaign promise of balancing budget by not raising taxes when the budget was balanced by transfers in from savings, which again is not income. That's an imbalanced budget. As long as I'm getting political, this goes out not to you, honestly, but to the general populace at large. I'm bothered by hypocrites saying that they support police and fire personnel and will be happily buy the thin blue line flags, but don't want to actually pay for it. That's poor citizenship. Let's see. I wish we'd stop being a debtor. So I think that debt should really only be used, if you have the option, to be spent on things that are investments that provide you a return that are higher than the interest that you have to pay on the debt. I find the problem that earlier, debt has been used, and you know that there's a $4.1 million bond financing, I think, that had gone out. I might be talking over my head, again, cocktail napkins, that had gone out to fund for basic capital expenditures. But the thing is, everything capital is, as soon as you get it, it starts to depreciate, value goes down. You have to make sure that it's an investment that pays above the interest, because when you get any debt, you will pay more in the long run. And worth discovering, Meadville can't pay much more. So I don't know if this is like historically the case. There's also a thing about the county assessment. I know so everybody's county does need to be reassessed. It's a problem. I think it kind of funny because when I was perusing the third class city code, I find that a city can actually have had their own assessor and assess their own property unless they opted into the county system. This was the case up until 2014 when the code was amended to say that if you are in the county system, you have to stay there. At some point, it seems as if the Meadville would have had its own assessor and would have been able to assess properties in its own way, but then opted into the county system. And now, we're bound to the county's assessments. And that did not necessarily have to be the case. It might be an old one. I don't know the history about this. There was an amendment that happened in 2014. I only came back to live here in 2017, so I'm a little bit slow on things. But, I mean, the point I'm trying to make there is, if there were an assessor that the county had and the ability to assess properties, and the code says every 3 years, instead of relying on the county to do it, so that, you know, the county has to assess it, reassess Meadville, that means they also have to reassess Rome Township, Titusville, Spartanburg, all to help out Meadville. We're in a bit of a pickle. If there was a city assessor way back in the day, decades and decades ago, I wonder if they thought it was cost savings to opt into the county and get rid of that assessor. It's the long-term consequence. If that is the case, I don't know that it is, but it is an unforeseen consequence of cuts in order to get by a budget by the skin of your teeth until you have no more teeth left. I also read in the third-class city code that you are only allowed to raise mills up to, for the general operating fund, 30. That's it until you have to go to court to petition. And it's, I assume it'll be a real embarrassment to have to petition the courts to raise taxes because you hit 30, you need more revenue, and you're out of luck and options. 6 mills on top of that, for anyone who's keeping count, brings us to what, 28.92? Well, I think that's it. Or the 22.92, right? 28.92, which means that in the future, if you have to raise taxes, again, you only have 1.08 mils to play with until you have to go to the courts to petition for more. So when ARPA goes away, if you fill it now with ARPA funds and don't raise taxes, then when ARPA goes away, it's not 6 mils. You might find that your budget is out of whack by 9 or 8, or who knows what the future holds. But household budgets in the city have been accustomed to not budgeting for sudden increases in millages of 6 or such. I don't know what the day will be like if you say, okay, we're stuck. We don't have any more grants and gifts coming in. We don't have a pandemic to save us. We haven't done anything about the taxes or the structural, well, that's not true, that's overstating. We haven't fixed the structural issues that lead to the devaluation of the town. We need to raise taxes all of a sudden from 23.92 also to 30. I don't know what households can handle that. All I know is that I've done the math on mine. Where I live is valued at $26,350 on Pine Street. That's a rate of taxes $603.94 a year. At the current 22.92 to 28.92 will go up to $162.04 a year, which is an increase of $158.10. Or, as I like to put it, 4 trips to Applebee's. I, as a citizen of Meadville, am very willing to forego 4 trips to Applebee's with drinks in order to secure Meadville's financial future. I can do that. This is probably not just for you, but for everybody else in town, I dare you to do that too. And in a dramatic flair, I brought that money with me. So,
With an Applebee's gift card for him?
No. this is over top, $200, I can pitch in $200 to make sure Meadville stays alive. And I would ask, this is beyond budget considerations, a dare to the rest of the citizens of Meadville, what you would forego in order to have Meadville stay alive. So this is the calculation that I've done, and weirdly, I'll ask you to come and earn it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody come in since?
No, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Comments?
So many, but I'll follow up.
Okay.
I said so many, but I will follow up.
Motion to adjourn the public meeting? Motion. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel? Stearns.
Aye. Adjourned. Give me 5 seconds if you would, please.
1,
Yeah, well, a little bit more than 5. Right back. Thank you.
Like they're gonna start, they're not gonna play golf. They're gonna play some quarterbacks, they're gonna play some.
Well, after seeing what Goff did,
Funny, if you had a time, got the time.
Okay, Mary Ann, ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Katie?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Call the meeting to order, please.
Donahue?
Roll call.
Aye.
McKnight?
Here.
Roa?
Here.
Vogel?
here.
Stearns.
Aye. Here. Public comments. Is there anybody?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Oath of office. Mary Ann, I want to start off with you.
I'm going to turn it over to Chief Totten to introduce the newest officer, Officer Palka.
So I'd like to introduce Daniel Palka. He's going to be our newest patrolman. He was born and raised in North Hills suburbs of Pittsburgh, where he graduated from North Allegheny School District in 2004. He later graduated from Edinburgh University with an associate's degree in criminal justice. Daniel has served as a firefighter and EMT for a total of 15 years and was a 911 dispatcher for a total of 10 years prior to completing the Municipal Police Academy at Mercyhurst. Daniel has been a police officer for the last 9 years, serving Edinburgh University, Cambridge Springs Police Department, and most recently the Westmead Township Police Department. He's married with 2 daughters. With me, Daniel Palka.
You'd like to come forward, please? You're welcome to have your family come up if you'd like.
You guys come up.
Well, good evening. It's my honor, Daniel. I've known you quite a while working in West.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your commitment to Crawford County. If you would raise your right hand, please, and say your name.
I, Dan Polka,
Solemnly swear and affirm
solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge my duty of office with fidelity.
and I will discharge my duty of office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And this is for your little one. That's why I had to run out. I only get to do this a couple more times. So this is because your dad is now working for the City of Meadville.
Yay!
There you go. So tonight's a special night for you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Very happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys be digging.
Thank you.
We need to make a motion to accept that. Motion. Second?
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel? Stearns?
It's better to give the oath usually afterwards, but
It works.
works the way it did.
Even then.
Okay, notice of executive session, Katie.
Your Honor, no executive session was held after the last meeting.
Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second? Second. We'll have discussion. Roll call.
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel? Stearns?
Aye. Did I miss some?
No, we got 2 sets of minutes this time because of the special meeting last week.
Okay. Motion to accept the special.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Just the public hearing, study session?
Yes.
Roll call.
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Stearns?
Aye. Communications.
There is no communication to council.
Okay, thank you. Manager's report, Mary Ann?
I actually do not have anything for tonight, Ryan.
Wow.
All right.
So disappointed.
Wow. She'll make up for it in the
Don't.
budget meeting.
Yes.
There you go. All right, thank you. Council's priority, still there. Home rule, comprehensive capital improvement plan, town hall. Countywide reassessments, kind of on hold.
Can I ask a question? We had, I think we had included the multi-year capital improvement plan, because like it was something staff was already working on, or something like that. I don't know. Sometimes Gary makes me think, second guess myself. Look surprised. Is there like, should we anticipate that
At the 23rd meeting.
Oh, okay.
23rd.
Great.
Okay, subcommittee reports. Do anybody have anything on subcommittee reports?
No. No.
Sean? Autumn?
The beautification committee participated with Shade Tree Committee in a tree planting day I can talk about later
Can you do it now or is that
in my I plan to do it in my
Councilman?
council member statement. But I think that's it for me. Nothing else.
Okay. Old business, authority, boards, and appointments. Katie, do we have anything?
There is a recommendation to appoint an alternate to the zoning hearing board next on the agenda, which just leaves 2 vacancies on the market authority.
Should we have 2 that we need?
On the market authority, there are 2 that need to be filled. We're working on scheduling interviews.
Okay, so who do we need to approve tonight?
Tonight, there is a recommendation to appoint David Hotchkiss as a zoning hearing board alternate for a term ending January 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Dave's still in practice in law.
I think he's mostly retired.
Retired.
Okay, just curious. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Stern.
All right. Appreciate him taking his time, especially if he's retired. I think he'll do a great job on that committee. New business. We have a discussion of planning and zoning. I take it, Gary?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank
There
you.
you go.
All right. Yeah, there's two items. We'll start with the first. These both are recommendations from the Planning Commission. I do want to recognize Guy McCumber, who's a member of our Planning Commission, and Dave Miller, who serves with Guy on the Climate Action Plan Task Force, which over the last many months has been developing a climate action plan for the city that will eventually come to council for consideration of potential adoption. In the course of that, and Guy and Dave, please feel free to correct me where I'm wrong. But in the course of that, ICLEI, which was formerly International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, it's basically a consortium of municipalities that work toward addressing climate change and other climate issues. During the course of the Climate Action Plan development, the task force has been working with ICLEI and the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection on putting together the plan. The DEP has offered to communities whose Climate Action Plan has reached DEP draft DEP approval, an opportunity to have a one-year membership, to pay the first-year membership in ICLEI. The Planning Commission at its November 4th meeting voted to recommend the council do go ahead and join for the first year. Again, the $1,200 dues would be covered by DEP for the first year. And so the commission feels that it would be a good idea for the city to go ahead and join that, see what benefits there might be there, and maybe consider after the first year potentially staying in it if they feel the benefits are worth that. So this first item here basically would be, are we going to have, do we want to have we don't have a motion on this today, Katie, would it be the motion at the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just discussion tonight. So that's really what that's about. Guy and Dave, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that? Or?
No, excellent job.
Okay, great. Thank you. So that's the first item. It'll be a recommendation that the city go ahead and join for that 1 year. It would start after, of course, after the joins, not now, but after the motion to join. Any questions on that?
Could be on the next agenda.
Yeah. You want me to go ahead on to the second one, or are there any questions?
Go ahead and move on to the second.
The second one is another recommendation from the Planning Commission, and again, it is related to the Climate Action Plan Task Force work. During the course of developing the plan, the task force has been working with the Pennsylvania Solar Center, which is a nonprofit out of Pittsburgh that works to encourage development and enable development of solar energy throughout the state. And so during that discussion, they recommended that some organization from Meadville apply to it's called their GET program, which is galvanizing our energy transition. And really it's about solar energy development. The way the program works is that the applicant, if they're accepted into the plan, works with the Pennsylvania Solar Center to identify 10 local companies, I believe it is.
And nonprofits
that could potentially benefit from having solar energy equipment installed on their property to essentially save money, save on their energy bill. Is pretty much what it is. So they would help do the study, see if there would be savings. If there would be, then the program would help that business or nonprofit to identify potential funding sources, financing to make that happen, et cetera, et cetera. The initial request to the Planning Commission of the task force was that they recommend that the city be the applicant. But at the meeting, the commission just didn't feel comfortable having enough information on exactly what the city's responsibilities would be, so they didn't want to make the recommendation that the city be the applicant, but that the city absolutely have a letter of support to the entity that does make that application. And I believe the applicant would be the Crawford County Coalition on Housing Needs.
Correct.
So the letter would be from the city to the Pennsylvania Solar Center supporting that application. So it's really just a letter of support to the application, but I wanted you to have the background to that as well. And again, that would be on the next, no, that would be tonight, I'm sorry. Is
With
that
the
on
support of the
agenda?
letter?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, because the deadline is December 6th.
Right.
So we want to make sure we get the letter in time.
I don't see any issues not supporting it.
There is a resolution prepared if you would like me to read it.
Well, first of all, council, you're all right with this?
Yes, I am.
I'm fine.
Okay, go ahead and read.
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville authorizing a letter of support on behalf of the Crawford County Coalition on Housing Needs application for Pennsylvania Solar Center's galvanizing our energy transition solar program. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that whereas representatives from Meadville's Climate Action Task Force presented to the City of Meadville Planning and Zoning Commission on Thursday, November 4th, and requested their support on an application by the Crawford County Coalition on Housing Needs for the Pennsylvania Solar Center's Galvanizing Our Energy Transition Solar Program. And whereas the City of Meadville Planning and Zoning Commission moved to request council consider writing a letter for support for the program. And whereas the Council of the City of Meadville believes that clean renewable energy has the potential to contribute to the economic stability and sustainability of the city and its residents. Now therefore be it resolved, the Council of the City of Meadville hereby pledges to support the Crawford County Coalition on Housing Needs application to the Pennsylvania Solar Center's Get Solar program and authorizes the city manager to send a letter of support to be included as part of the application.
Motion, please.
I'll move.
Second? Second. Any discussion?
Thanks, Deb.
Dramatic. Roll call.
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Stearns?
Aye. Okay, government does move fast, especially tonight. If I can keep it up, we're gonna really move fast. Anything else, Gary?
I'd just like
No,
to
Your Honor.
express my appreciation on behalf of the Climate Action Task Force and everybody involved in the project. I really appreciate your support.
Me too.
And you all have been doing a lot of work, so our thanks to you too.
We have a resolution. Katie?
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville authorizing signatures on an amendment to the parking lease agreement between the City of Meadville and PNC Bank. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that the attached agreement is hereby approved and adopted substantially in the form attached hereto, subject to final approval by the city solicitor, as and for a binding and effective agreement of the City of Meadville in accord with its terms. And the mayor, controller, and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to execute and to attest such copies of the attached agreement in the manner required by law as may be reasonably required for the purposes of the parties thereto.
Motion, please.
So motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, Mary Ann?
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is an amendment to the 2009 lease agreement between the city and PNC Bank for some parking spots all along Water Street. This just changes the rate per parking spot. They'll be paying $360 a month for their parking spaces, whereas previously they were paying $300 per month.
I'm curious. They used to rent 12 spaces, they're only renting 9 now. What happened to the other 3?
I do not know.
Are we renting them out to somebody?
To my knowledge, I don't know that we are.
Okay, I'm just looking at the lease agreement, the original lease agreement, and it had 12 spaces, so, okay.
Where is this?
If you look on the parking lot license agreement, clause 3, license fee, you pay $25 per parking space for 12 parking spaces.
Oh, sure. No, thank you, Jim. I meant like geographically, are these parking spaces?
Where
You know where Dr. Decker's office is?
Yes, okay.
To the
Oh,
left of
those
it.
ones?
Right by the garage.
Behind the garage, okay, yeah, gotcha. And then this 40 reflects the increase that we made overall in city
Correct.
parking?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Stearns?
Aye. We have a resolution authorizing revision of 2018 Community CDBG grant. Katie?
A resolution of the Council of the City of Meadville authorizing a revision of the fiscal year 2018 Community Development Block Grant allocation. Resolved by the Council of the City of Meadville that whereas Act 179 of 1984 established the Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Program to financially assist municipalities with a number of community development needs to benefit low and moderate income citizens. And whereas the City of Meadville and Resolution Number 65 of 2018, dated October 17, 2018, authorized the submission of an application for a total allocation of $296,249 to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for funding through the Community Development Block Grant Program. And whereas the City of Meadville is formally revising the fund allocations between projects to move $1,326.75 from the fiscal year 2018 clearance and demolition activity to the fiscal year 2018 code enforcement activity. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Meadville that Council does officially approve the revision of the fiscal year 2018 funds from clearance and demolition to code enforcement.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Thank you, Your Honor. So in 2018, the city originally allocated $40,898 to the clearance and demolition. This was revised and reduced in 2020 to $8,276 to fund some various projects and street improvement activity. So of that $8,000 and some dollars that was left, a portion of that, about $7,000, was utilized to do some demolition work. The revision moves this $1,300 to code enforcement. The necessity of this is that we have to expend the funds by March of 2022, and moving it to code enforcement is the simplest way to go about making sure we use those funds.
Okay. Any questions from council?
Won't take that long to use it.
No,
It'll be done by the end of this month, probably.
more than likely.
No other questions? Roll call.
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Stearns?
Aye. Council member statement. Jim, I'll start with you this
Happy
evening.
Thanksgiving.
That's it?
That's it.
Larry?
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, and again, just keep wearing your mask, COVID's not over yet. And as everyone knows, it's darker, right around 5 o'clock, we're still traveling, moving about from school, work, home, so be safe, be careful, and watch out for the kids that are going across the streets, because a lot of them are looking at their cell phones instead of watching traffic, so just be extra careful. Thank you.
Okay. Autumn?
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier, but on Saturday, I got to take part in a neighborhood tree planting effort, which was supported by the Neighborhood Center and Meadville Shade Tree Commission through a Tree Vitalize grant. This effort was able to triple the number of trees that Shade Tree Commission planted this year. Certainly exciting for aesthetic and environmental reasons, but it was also it was very beautiful. Like 50 people came out and planted 20 trees around town in my neighborhood, in the Meadville's First Ward. It was great. High school and college students, teachers, neighbors, shade tree members, and more came together. It was a cold, wet day, but we had a great time. And yeah, I want to thank Lee for spearheading. I know you put a lot of work in. Spearheading on the grassroots side, but also for Dave Boughton, Scott Jolander, and Danuta Marjowitz. I don't know, Danuta. Macrowitz. I believe you, David. From Shade Tree, they their experience, their time, their expertise, and resources so invaluable, and it was really beautiful. And I hope that we can replicate, do it again in future years. But a great demonstration of what can be done in collaboration.
Okay.
And I'll tell you about the football game last Friday, or Saturday, it was Friday. Meadville won against General McLean, and they're District 10 champions, which they've only won twice, I think, all my time of going to football games. But anyway, we play this Saturday here in Meadville, of all places, against Juniata.
Yeah.
I think I'm saying that right, and I think you're from their side of the state practically.
How about Harrisburg?
It's interesting, and it's an inter-district game, and we've only won like one ever. So we'll see if we win a second one this year, and ought to be fun. And we have a very fast running back,
Yes,
Simmons.
Simmons, yes.
And he is very exciting. He had the 99-yard run, and he reminds you a lot of Journey when he goes around
Yes,
the corner
yes.
on the end.
Yes,
It was a lot of fun.
it was.
But the other thing was this team is the senior. They only had one senior. He played on our team that didn't win a game 4 years ago. So he got to be a district champion and play on a team that didn't win a game. So it's kind of fun.
Okay.
That's it.
Talking about sports, I have to say this, if you've been watching my Facebook pages, my grandson ran in the cross-country at the Commonwealth of Virginia and came in first place for the state. So he did a phenomenal job, and Grandpa's got to do something here to help him, because he really worked hard, 5 years at it, and I got the phone call and all I could hear was crying. So I didn't know if something happened or what. And then my son told me that he had won the championship, so that's all I have. Appreciate that. And anybody else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Donahue?
Aye.
McKnight?
Aye.
Roa?
Aye.
Vogel?
Aye.
Stearns?
Aye. Thank you. We're going to adjourn. Do we have to